Well, been trying to fiddle around with settings or so for Monster Hunter Wilds, and I have no idea. But anyways, I got 2 things to discuss about. Of course, there's 2 things that we need to discuss. Oh, is it? Okay, so I'm not the only one. Okay. Good. That's good. That's good.
Immediately following, things get worse, or at least from my perspective.
But yeah, apparently this is all about BioWare. Dubstep's favorite studio, you know? This is Dubstep's favorite studio.
Better when it comes to BioWare. See, because after my video talking about EA, they went out and announced, without even telling me, by the way, that they were going to restructure BioWare. They're going to make it more lean, mean. They're going to make it more agile. Corporate speak for, we're going to gut the studio in hopes these guys don't lose us any more money. Gamers keep winning. All these game studios have been pumping out games that deliver no value to us whatsoever are now staring at the brink of destruction. They're staring at the void.
It's becoming my favorite too. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Shut the fuck up.
Staring back at them, and that void is their wallets, their bank accounts. But it's time for us to feel empathetic. Don't you dare celebrate, gamer. I see you. No. It's time to feel empathetic, or at least that's what 5 fans of Dragon Age the Veilguard, some games journalists, and a few game developers believe. We should feel bad for the situation that they put themselves in. You know, there's a lot of people that are trying to find the smoking gun. They're trying to figure out what happened here. Pointing fingers all around. How could this happen to BioWare?
Ah, okay. Yeah, it's one of the links that are not passable. That's why.
Successful for 2 days. Man. You know, some people are blaming the players for not buying the game. Other people are blaming the cultural climate of today's society. Other people are blaming economics, but I think that they're all looking in the wrong places. They're not thinking about it the way that they should, and I think it's time that we set them straight, because BioWare didn't just wind up in this position. It was led there. Dragon Age the Veilguard, while critically successful, was a commercial failure. Yet another...
Critically successful? I don't know about that one, Chief. Remember, right? Please let Mass Effect 4 be good. Remember, right? Because IGN, what? IGN gave it a... What did they give it? They gave it a 9 or something like that? A 9 or an 8 or something?
Lesson in that if critics like something, if we don't want it and we don't buy it, well, what they say doesn't really matter all that much. Now, as I mentioned in a previous video, EA ended up telling their investors that Dragon Age the Veilguard only engaged 1.5 million players since its launch, and they were expecting 3 million players and reportedly 10 million players by the end of the game's first year. Something that not a lot of people have taken notice of is the fact that they said engaged 1.5 million players.
Let's see, but in addition to the global football, EA also mentioned that Dragon Age engaged 1.5 million players during the quarter, which was down nearly 50% from the company's projections. Notably, EA does not say that 1.5 million numbers was unit sales. Dragon Age Veilguard was also available as part of EA Play's Pro subscription service. Additionally, it's not clear whether EA is counting a free trial of the game that was available through the cheaper EA Play subscription in the 1.5 million number either.
That's very specific language, meaning that it's not reflective of what Dragon Age the Veilguard's actual sales are. It's just how many people bought it, reviewed it, played it as a demo, or played it through EA's subscription service, meaning that the real sales for this game are likely far lower than the number that was announced.
Thank you for the follow. Welcome.
Devastating for a studio like BioWare, because from an executive perspective, they don't have any passive income. They don't have any live service games that are generating revenue for that studio. The only income that they have is from their game sales, and we're a ways off before they release their next game, which means not only has BioWare not made up the money for their decade-long development costs for Dragon Age the Veilguard, but they don't even have anything to soften the blow. So from EA's perspective, this studio is doing nothing other than costing them money, which makes sense as to why layoffs would soon follow the game's failure. Now,
yeah, because the what was it? The lead writer producer of Dragon Age the Veilguard is gone apparently. So there's that as well.
That all makes sense. You have to staunch the bleed, and you should probably fire the
Hey,
people who
Laquan.
are responsible for making you bleed in the first place. I mean, that's a pretty common sense approach. However, well, common sense isn't so common in gaming anymore, and there are those who are pretty upset over this studio's layoffs. In an article from PC Gamer written by Harvey Randall titled
Hey,
"On a Pirate
Takodachi.
Ship, They Toss the Captain Overboard," Larian, head of publishing, tears into EA after BioWare layoffs waste institutional knowledge. A profit drop doesn't mean a closed shop. Harvey writes, so BioWare isn't going to be making a new Dragon Age game anytime soon, maybe ever.
I hope they don't. This is literally the first BioWare game I've ever touched, and it'll be the last BioWare game I'll ever touch.
Depending on how things go, after Dragon Age the Veilguard underperformed, much of its team, including senior members who had been making Dragon Age games for a while, were shuffled around or laid off. This isn't necessarily out of nowhere, as quite accurately called by a consultant and former BioWare vet, Mark Dara, almost prophetically, this marks the
I already
first
played it a
time
long
the
time
studio
ago.
only had one major
I played it when it
project to
came out.
focus on. He rather
BioWaste.
stated that these devs would find their way to other EA studios, and that the challenge
Wasting
would be involved
EA's
in
money,
bringing
you know?
them back. Turns out, he was right. A lot of them are just gone entirely. Regardless of my thoughts on the game's writing, plenty of the staff now departing have made good stuff in the past. Trick Weeks, for instance, wrote frickin' Morden in Mass Effect 2 and 3, as well as Iron Bull and Solus in Inquisition. Two characters I like very much. The foibles of Veilguard haven't left me irate so much.
Thank you
as
for the follow.
despondent,
Welcome.
confused, and wondering whether just scrapping decades of talent in a purge is the right move at all. That's a despondency that's shared by Michael Dowse, publishing director of Baldur's Gate 3, developer Larian Studios, who took to X in a series of posts last week to more or less tear into EA for letting go of so much institutional talent.
No, I don't know
Right?
about that.
Is it possible not to lay off large portions of your development teams between or after projects? Critically retaining that institutional knowledge is key for the next game. It's often used as an excuse to trim fat, and to an extent, I understand that under financial pressure, but doesn't that just highlight how needless the aggressive efficiency of giant corporations is? Dowse isn't necessarily throwing stones from a glass house here. Larian is a big old studio, true, but it's something of an anomaly in the games industry. Tencent has a minority, non-voting stake in the company, but otherwise it's completely independent and free of shareholders. Baldur's Gate 3 very much seems like a product of a studio free from those expectations, being able to take its damn time. I'd understand if they were pumping out hit after hit. Perhaps you could argue it's working, but clearly the aggressive streamlining of layoffs aren't. It's nothing but cost cutting in the most brutal of sense. It's always the people lower down on the food chain that suffer, when it's clearly a strategy higher up the food chain that's causing the problem. Dowse caps the post off with, on a pirate ship, they toss the captain overboard. In a second clarifying post, he adds, to make it absolutely clear, what I hate about the way layoffs are carried out is that they are done before decision makers know what to do with the studio, and not as a result of figuring out a direction. Yeah, and on a pirate ship, if the captain smelled even a hint of mutiny, they'd hang him, they'd maroon him on an island, or they'd drag them behind the ship.
We swore she'd go free. Don't dare impugn me on her, boy. I agreed she'd go free, but it was you who failed to specify when or where.
Generally, almost all times, I end up agreeing with Michael Dowse on a variety of different issues.
Yeah, personally, it's like I just don't understand that, like, the people that are in charge, which is like what, the lead producers, the lead writers, the lead, the people who are just in charge in general, who are steering the ship, are not getting punished whatsoever. But it's always the people, the underlings, are the ones who are the ones that are getting punished.
Because he understands the industry and the players in a way that very few do. However, here, I have to disagree with them. Look, institutional knowledge is important. You need veteran talent to maintain the creative vision of any long-standing franchise.
I think, in my personal opinion, when it comes to forming a team, you kind of want some veterans, like some actual veterans who know what they're doing, and then some newbie people, some new people who barely learned, I heard they went to Halo. They did? Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. Well, I don't play Halo, so I'm okay. I'm good. Halo is not really my type of game, so I'm okay. So
to refine its mechanics, to push quality forward over time. Larian Studios is the perfect example of that. You can see the evolution from Divinity Original Sin to Baldur's Gate 3. They didn't just make another CRPG, they took everything that they had learned from their past games and built something legendary. But that's the difference. Larian grew their talent, and their talent grew with them. BioWare, they bled out long ago. Most of BioWare's best developers were already gone before or during the development of Anthem. The moment that EA forced them to go make a live service game instead of doing what they do best, that's when it all started. BioWare's decline did.
Yep, that's where it all started, was Anthem. Remember Anthem, guys? And also back then that Anthem bricked the game also bricked PS4s as well back in those days, because I knew Mass Effect, well, not Mass Effect, I knew that BioWare was not a live service, you know, studio. They're mostly a single player studio.
Didn't start today. It started the moment that EA lost the people who made the studio special in the first place, and that's EA's fault.
That's
He's
true.
not wrong in that, but
that's
where I
true.
disagree with Douse is that
fuck EA. EA even ruined one of my favorite franchises, which was Star Wars Battlefront. So yeah, I'm like, how do you not add fucking the intergalactic game mode in a Battlefront game? Like, who doesn't do that?
I don't think that there is any institutional knowledge that's worth keeping here in the first place. Because who exactly is BioWare today? The idea of institutional knowledge falls apart when the people that are still working on the games today aren't the same people that made them great in the first place. The studio is a ship of Theseus, the same name, but all of the parts have been replaced so many times that
yeah, we saw a video earlier today where actually there's literally people still playing Anthem in the year 2025. And I'm just like, why? There's other things that are better than Anthem. Why?
It's not the same BioWare anymore. Think about it for a second. Veilguard's game director, Corrine Bush, didn't come from RPGs. He came from The Sims. That tells you
what? Really? Hey, QB. So, wow. Okay, that literally explains a lot, actually.
Everything you need to know about the creative direction at BioWare today. And even if there are some veteran developers that are remaining, I mean, Corrine Bush, Trick Weeks, and a few others have been with BioWare and EA for many years, but who's to say they're still worth keeping? People love to romanticize institutional knowledge as if it's the only thing that matters is how long someone has actually worked on a franchise, but people...
Sorry, I was just watching the gameplay for Dragon Age, right? Like, I didn't, because I assume this is a different class and everything. This is the ultimate for whatever the fuck this class is.
As if it's the only thing that matters is how long someone has actually worked on a franchise, but...
Wow, dude. Wow. That's an ultimate attack, chat. That is an ultimate attack right there. He just does a Spider-Man pose, throws bombs in the floor, barely gets up, like, up in the sky, you know? He gets up, like, maybe, like, 6 feet off the ground. And, you know? I see why. Oh, God, dude. Man.
People change, their beliefs change, their motivations change, and over time, that knowledge can turn into a poison that destroys what made a game special in the first place. Dragon Age had a lot of issues. The combat was dry, the gameplay was repetitive, but most importantly...
The gameplay is so badly repetitive, especially when you break the boss monster and get it stuck into like some kind of like I remember the ogre one, the first ogre boss. You can literally get him stuck in the middle of that weird little fucking pillar thing on the center of the arena. And then, like, where I had to fight another ogre, it was the same ogre, but with a different skin color and I think a different aura effect or something. And it was like, I think it was like 10 levels higher than me. And all I did was literally stab, 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 run away. He jumps, I stomp, stab, 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 I run away. he jumps over and stomps again, throws something at me, and then I stab, 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 and then do the same thing. I did it for like almost roughly about like maybe an hour or something like that, an hour and a half, somewhere around there. I literally did it, and I just kept stabbing him, and I just kept running away every single time. And he had like what was it? Was it 3 or 4 bars of HP or something like that? I don't even remember, to be honest.
The narrative, the core of what makes a narrative-driven game actually work, was fundamentally flawed. And that's not just a random failure, that's the direct result of your institutional knowledge turning toxic. Because the writers at BioWare didn't write a story that resonated with people anymore, because I don't think they can write a story that will resonate with people anymore.
Bro, I can write a better story than all of them combined in that goddamn fucking board meeting, okay? Even I can write a better story. Even people in chat over here can write a better story. People in my comment section can write a better story, you know? Was there any phase? No. He did not change. He literally did not change any single moveset. He still did the same moveset. Well, he did one thing. He did like one specific like move set. He was like throwing out pimples, but like he was throwing out pimples off in the distance. I don't know what it was for, but like, yeah, he did that. He threw pimples, you know? That's all he did. That's all what the boss did. So I don't even know, to be honest. All I did was just fucking stab, 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 and then did my moves and then ran away. So
they changed as people, and I think people forget that people change. They forgot how to connect with an audience.
It just had a ton of HP. That's it.
The softest, most sanitized character portrayals imaginable. They aimed it at an undefined, non-existent, young adult audience, populating it with a cast of millennial, maladjusted, socially awkward archetypes who felt more like reflections of their own personal social circles than actually compelling characters. And then on top of that, they forced in divisive, socially liberal
shut the fuck up.
not because it made sense to the story, not because it was actually good for the game, but because they wanted to push their own worldview into the game. It added nothing to the game's quality and ultimately only took away from it. At a time where gaming is more divided than ever, they doubled down on their own ideological messaging instead of focusing on telling a damn good story.
Yeah, it's just like, it's supposed to be a fantasy story, right? Like an old, like, medieval fantasy, you know, kind of like that specific kind of game. And then they throw in, like Tosh is, like, what was she? Gender fluid or what was she again? I forgot what the fuck she was, to be honest. I don't really fucking know. I know she says like she's non-binary, right. She's non-binary. I'm just like what the fuck, dude? Like, this is a fantasy RPG game. What the fuck? Why is she just like announcing to her mom, I'm non-binary? Like, what? Okay, so for those who haven't seen the cutscene, right? This is the cutscene itself. I know there's specifically some people who have not seen, you know, who not seen the cutscene itself, but this is literally the cutscene itself. Oh, where is it? Oh, here it is.
This is where we eat.
I see.
I'll go get some.
Inadequate mother, I am aware.
Then why did you leave?
When I see my child in danger, I act.
Here's the ginger.
Here it is.
Thank you.
So, I'm non-binary.
What does that mean?
It means I don't feel like a man or a woman.
If you are neither a man nor a woman, then what are you?
Non-binary. I just said, and I'm going to use they instead of she from now on.
If this is because I have criticized your dress or your manners...
It isn't!
let me remind you. This is a fantasy JRPG game. Well, not JRPG, RPG game, not JRPG. It's a fantasy RPG game. Okay? And they decided to write this in a story that is literally a fantasy RPG that literally none of this exists in like fantasy medieval, you know, age. You know, this is a fantasy medieval age with like magic and sorcery and like monsters and all this other shit. That shit doesn't exist in a story in a setting like this. It just doesn't make any sense, man. It just doesn't make any sense. it just doesn't make any sense. As someone who writes stories, I've wrote over 25 stories, right? I usually do it on my off times when I have free time back, you know, many years ago, right? I still remember them. Like, they're all in my head as well. I remember all of them. And I'm just like, man, dude, it's crazy. Like, yeah, I have, like, for me personally, I have romantic relationships in the story, but it builds up to it, okay? Some of them build up to the relationship with this. And then some of them, you know, hey, man, if a girl likes a girl, then I'm okay with it, you know? Why not? Non-binary is fantasy? Okay, buddy, you need to shut the fuck up before I mute your ass. Oh, my lord. But yeah, I've wrote stories where, like, I have, like, a character who is, like, a female protagonist who falls in love with a female. You know, I wrote it, but this was like 10 plus years ago. This was like 10 plus years ago, and it's probably like way better than anything what these people at BioWare, the writing team at BioWare wrote. I'm gonna be honest with you. Oh man, dude, it pisses me off because I enjoy writing stories and like worlds and stuff, you know. But man, dude.
They believe that their perspectives, their experiences, and their beliefs mattered more than the needs of the audience or the financial survival of their own co-workers. And when a studio starts prioritizing personal agendas over player engagement, over
build up, nah, we need the woo-wah hookups. Shut the fuck, I don't want to hear it, sir. I do not want to hear you. Shut the fuck up before I mute you too.
Financial stability over creative integrity, there is only one outcome. Failure. So why should we mourn the loss of that institutional knowledge? Why would you want to keep people around?
Shut up, both of you.
If a studio's leadership and
you two are driving me insane, I swear.
Audience, so lost in their own ideological echo chamber, then what value does that knowledge have anymore? None. Absolutely none. Not a single drop of value. I am so sick and tired of this narrative that's being peddled that firings and layoffs are immediately a bad thing in this industry. We have people.
No, get rid of them. I'm gonna be honest with you. If they're not making money and they're losing you money, not just once, not just twice, but 3 times in a row, you know it's time to clean up the house and get rid of them. You know, get rid of the ones that are not useful, not whatsoever. They're worthless. They ain't doing shit. Get them out of there and keep the ones that are actually doing their shit.
An industry that is running.
I didn't even say anything, liar.
At their job.
You're lying.
The livelihoods of their fellow co-workers at risk at every single given turn. You have to route that out. Simple as that. Done. End of conversation. Sure, EA has had their hand in this. I'm not going to pretend like they haven't. They are the ones that didn't hold on to the knowledge, to the talent that studio had for many years. They let those people go. They made decisions that made those people
no more Mass Effect.
The writing staff of Dragon Age: The Veilguard and its leadership. No, this is common sense. This isn't heavy-handed. This isn't a quick decision. No, you recognized a problem and you got rid of it.
Yeah.
Simple as that. And to be honest with you, they had to do this. They had to show the audience, they had to show the players, they had to show their investors.
I will silence you for 1 minute, I swear.
BioWare, that they still value BioWare's reputation. And from my perspective, this actually gives me more faith in Mass Effect 5. Because a lot of people miss this. The director of Mass Effect 5 was already trying to distance themselves before Dragon Age the Veilguard even came out. I talked about this in a video way early on, but when people are asking about the writing, when people are asking about the themes, when people are asking about the art style, they said, no, we are two completely different teams. We have two completely different plans. We're about grit and realism, and that's what we want. That's what I want. And you know, the thing is, we're talking about firing that team from an executive perspective, or even just from an onlooker's perspective. Given today's social political climate, given today's political climate, given the way that that game received so much backlash, given how disconnected it was and the themes that it included, that writing team, that leadership, likely wouldn't just lay their head down. No, they would feel emboldened. They push even harder in the next game because they would want to fight back against the perceived enemy that they have. That's exactly what they would do. And they would waste even more money. They'd probably have even more people lose their jobs, and it would sacrifice even more of the studio's reputation. That would be the end result. But they recognized that it was an issue, and they got rid of it. Simple as that. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, there's a lot of people that are upset over the firings, a lot of people that are upset over the layoffs.
I was 600 you so hard, you have no idea. Don't make me do it.
Has to do with the quality of the game or anything like that. It's the fact that you have folks that are out there that believed a multi-billion-dollar company was an ally. It had more to do. They look at this as an attack against their beliefs, as an attack against their identity, when it's just a company making a smart business decision. Why do people want multi-billion-dollar companies to be moral arbiters? It makes no sense to me. And they don't have any interest in being one in the first place. And people are starting to wake up to that now. I've come across a lot of comments from developers, journalists, and players lamenting at the supposed cultural impact that is lost with the exodus of Dragon Age the Veilguard's writing team, BioWare's writing team. One streamer, for example, dramatically claimed that Veilguard failed because it chose to represent. That's why it's being attacked.
Can I see that real quick? I don't think BioWare is on my side. They never were. Look at how look. I know in your head you think I hate you because you're trans or whatever, but that's not it. We just don't see eye to eye because we are fundamentally different people. But I don't like seeing anyone get blatantly manipulated, and you and everyone who became BioWare's sword and shield during the Veilguard marketing cycle got played hard. Companies don't care about you. Studios don't have your best interest at heart. They care about money, and for years, slapping a rainbow flag on their profile and throwing a trans flag charms in and FPS, what is it? Charmin and FPS made them money. Not anymore. Now you've been dropped like a sack of hot potatoes, and you're surprised. I have been saying this since day one. Yep. She's not wrong. She's not wrong. Thank you for the follow. Welcome. Companies have never cared about you, okay? I see your plan. You get 600 million dark, but you can never silence the awoken. I'm gonna silence your goddamn woken. I'm gonna put you to sleep harder than fucking Logan Paul knocking freaking KSI out, alright? Anyways. Yeah. That's like I said, fucking companies just never cared about trans people. They just care about your money, and that's it. If you guys cannot realize that, you guys are crazy, to be honest. How dare you actually like defend these companies, to be honest? How dare you? Honestly, straight up, how dare you defend these companies? Thank you for the follow. Welcome.
Will dramatically claim that Veilguard failed because it chose to represent. That's why it's being attacked. And now that the staff is gone, they don't think that BioWare has the right intentions anymore. But my question is, what intentions should a game studio have other than delivering a quality product? None. There shouldn't be anything else. Games are not meant to be your ally. They are not meant to fight for you. They are meant to entertain and make money. That's it. Some of BioWare's writers may have seen themselves as stewards of justice, pushing personal beliefs through their work, but marketing and executives, you are nothing more to them than a consumer to be manipulated and milked for money. And yet, people will defend garbage video games not because they're good, not because it respects the franchise or its legacy, but because it represents something they want to see in the world, regardless of its quality. There's this sense of defeat among certain groups, not because the game failed, but because the pendulum is swinging in the other direction. For years, certain beliefs have been pushed aggressively and across all media forms, gaming, movie, music, television, whatever it might be. And those who disagreed were told to shut up and take it, even if their concerns were about quality and not ideology. I've seen this firsthand. I know exactly how frustrating it can be to simply ask for a good game and receive nothing but hate and vitriol in response. I've seen Reddit threads dissecting my entire personality, applying beliefs to me that I don't even hold just because I dared to criticize a game. And now what? Those same people that have spent years calling other people bigots for criticizing a game's quality are learning firsthand that their opinions are not the popular ones.
It's about damn time, man. It's about damn time, man. About damn time. Well, personally, I never really cared about those people or even bother to acknowledge them at the end of the day, you know, because I just kind of do my own thing.
The gaslighting isn't working. It didn't work. Why? Because Dragon Age the Veilguard didn't fail because of its themes. It failed because it was a bad game. And what I don't understand is, why are people wanting to settle for bad representation when you could demand better? How is Tosh a good representation of anyone? Just like I wouldn't want the stereotype of every white guy being a villain in movies, television shows, and games, why would you want poorly written characters reinforcing negative stereotypes of the identities and communities that you seem to care about? Shouldn't the
Man, I feel like these people who are trying to be so like inclusive and diverse and everything like that, I feel like they're the most racist people I've ever seen doing like the most stereotypical shit in the entire world, to be honest.
goal have been to actually have characters that resonate with people, characters people actually like. But instead of asking for better, people are instead choosing to blame the audience for rejecting a bad game. I found a Reddit post titled, "Chuds Ruined BioWare," which said, "Hope you assholes are happy for ruining the careers of many employees. If you didn't like it, all you had to do was ignore it and let the ones who do enjoy it be." But no, you had to review bomb and hate grift the game, and now BioWare is on its last legs. You all must feel so proud and are edging to Asmongold videos in celebration of EA gutting BioWare.
Who is this guy? Who is this person? What are you? Huh? Huh? What's wrong with you? Huh? You think you're so tough or so, hiding behind your screen or so, typing this in Reddit? Look at this guy. Look at this dude here. Oh, this person has 99 in their name, dude. So they're probably born in the year 1999. Wow, that's crazy. That's a Gen Z person right there, chat. That's a Gen Z right there. That's Gen Z right there, chat. That's a Gen Z you're talking. This person doesn't know what they're talking, you know?
And in that same thread, I found the perfect response. Chuds did not ruin BioWare. The anti-woke crowd tried attacking Baldur's Gate 3, but it was a solid game, and it's doing amazingly. The only people who ruined BioWare are EA and BioWare themselves. Giving the anti-woke crowd credit for this only emboldens them and makes them believe that their tantrums work.
Thank you for the support, Sakurazoku. We appreciate your dedication during these challenging times. Your presence has always added joy to our gaming adventures. Take care, and know that Nyaru and I are here for you.
I will take care. Take care. Thank you for the tier 1 or so. Wow, 9 months. I stopped due to financial instability. Hey man, just make sure. Look, man, you guys don't have to subscribe. You guys don't have to donate. You guys don't have to do nothing. Okay. If you guys are struggling a little bit with the financial stuff, man, just worry about yourself first. Every single time. Always worry about yourself. All right. Always gotta take care of yourself. All right.
But at the end of the day, while you and many others love Veilguard, plenty of people did not, and for valid reasons. It's okay that you liked a game that wasn't a commercial success, but blaming that on the wrong people does no good. BioWare should be held accountable for their own failures. The funny thing is, players did exactly what the original poster asked. They didn't like the game, they didn't want to play the game, and as a result, they didn't buy it, and that's why Dragon Age the Veilguard failed. And the reply is completely right. Baldur's Gate...
Yeah. What about the modern audience that they were targeting? There is no modern audience. There never was. It's just a myth.
3 included almost all the exact same themes, if not even more.
You need to take care of yourself.
Yet, with what little backlash it had, none of it had any effect because it was a good game, and that's what really matters here. While I do think that social ideology definitely played a role in Dragon Age: The Veilguard's failure, I don't view it as some culture war victory. It's a customer victory. It's proving that players aren't putting up with slop anymore. But there's another major reason as to why Dragon Age: The Veilguard failed, and some people want to forget this. It's because it's not the game that we were supposed to get. Dragon Age: The Veilguard was a game without identity. It started off as a live service game built to be the next multiplayer RPG because EA wanted to turn Dragon Age into another Destiny, but when the backlash for live service games hit the industry like a sledgehammer, they scrambled to turn it back into a single-player RPG. And when you have a project that's built for one thing and abruptly pivoted to something else, you have to ask yourself who's going to fix it. You need strong leadership. You need a creative director that understands how to bring everything together, who understands RPG mechanics, combat design, storytelling, and pacing. But BioWare didn't have that. Instead, they put the wrong people in charge, people who, rather than fixing a game's fundamental issues, chose to focus entirely on the story that they wanted to tell, on the message that they had to deliver. They ignored the gameplay, they ignored the mechanics, they ignored the world building and player choice. Unlike Baldur's Gate 3, that didn't do any of those things, they made sure all of those things were the most important thing in their design. Their message became the only thing that mattered. Notice something, that the designers, the environmental artists, the sound techs, the gameplay developers, these aren't the people that got fired. They were the ones that got repositioned because their failure wasn't in how the game looked or functioned. The failure was in the fact that none of that mattered to their leadership. None of the parts fit together, and the customers were delivered something that was an incohesive Frankenstein of a game where all the effort went into
I saw that.
and poor messaging. And that's why this was all inevitable. Because here's the thing, I don't care if a game includes themes that I personally disagree with, and I don't think a lot of people do either. I don't care if it explores politics, gender, religion, or whatever else a writer wants to tackle.
Well, Baldur's Gate 3 is a really good, actual RPG game, Dragon Age representative, a loss on humanity's evolution to wokedom. And shut the fuck, shut up, just shut up, before I close your mouth forever.
As long as the game is fun and engaging, I'll play it. At the end of the day, I just want to enjoy a good game. That's all I've ever wanted. I think that's what most people want. But when a game's themes aren't woven naturally into its world, when they lack nuance, when they feel like a cudgel rather than a conversation, and the gameplay takes a backseat to all of that, well, I don't see that as an ideological attack. I see that just as a bad video game. I don't see these developers as some grand ideological enemy pushing an agenda. I just see them being shit at their jobs. That's what so many people fail to understand. It's not about representation, it's about execution. You can tackle any subject, any theme, and if it's done poorly, if it's forced, if it sacrifices storytelling and gameplay in favor of preaching, well, then it fails. Not because people are intolerant, not because people weren't ready for it, but because it was badly written and poorly implemented. I'm sick of these cultural battle lines being drawn every single time a game flops. I'm sick of developers and media drawing those lines. I'm sick of players and people defending these games and using inclusivity as a shield from criticism. A bad game is a bad game, period. That's it. There's no other reason behind it. No amount of social messaging, no amount of good intentions, no amount of defense from games journalists is going to change that, because players are done settling. They don't care about your message. They don't care about your characters, and they sure as the hell don't care about your employees if the game sucks.
We play video games to escape all of this shit. All of this shit that's basically in the weird ideology that's in Dragon Age: The Veilguard, that's in real life, People play video games to escape from it. They want to go to another world, another fantasy, another story, another, whatever, adventures and shit. We don't want the same shit that people have to deal with in IRL having to be in video games, okay? 7 head empty. I just wanted to date and do a concert with Ko. What?
In Dragon Age: The Veilguard, well, that game sucked. In one of my last streams, I ended up having a AAA developer reach out and talk to me for a little bit, and they told me that in all their years of experience, they've worked across the entire industry, whether it was Sony, whether it was Activision, all these big names. They said that never do you see people lose their job if they're actually good at their job. 12 years in the industry, they never saw a single person that was good at their job lose their job. They said,
there you go, see?
Anytime you see these layoffs, it is almost always people that are underqualified or bad at their job. That's it. They went on to then say that the people that are still at BioWare, the people that were working on Dragon Age: The Veilguard that still have a job somehow, well, they knew exactly what was going on, what went wrong with Dragon Age. but they likely couldn't talk about it. They couldn't speak up. They had to couch their criticism in soft language, toxic positivity.
Yeah.
And, you know, while ideology and social beliefs might have something to do with it, I'm sure there is an impact there for sure. Poor leadership is a plague to a lot of these.
Oh,
companies,
yes.
and that's likely exactly what EA was targeting here. Chuds didn't kill BioWare. BioWare killed BioWare. I'm hoping
that is so true. That is very true.
In 2024, that a lot of these studios and these publishers can see the markers for
man, get out of here. Shut up. Shut up.
Reposition and change their games appropriately to be successful in the coming years. You would have to, because there's just way too many instances, way too many examples of what players don't want and what players do want. And I'm hoping they're learning the lesson. I feel like a prophet, man. It's so crazy to be this far into the future now. I guess not really. It was only like, what, back in, when does this game come out? Like November or September or something like that? I put out a tweet right after all of the reviews went up, and I was like, there is no way. You guys are trying to protect this game. You gave it to reviewers early that you knew really liked it already. You kept it away from the people that you knew didn't like it. And then you wanted to protect its launch. Give it a positive light. Try to get more people to buy it. And I was like, there is no way this is going to work. I cannot believe that you guys are even doing this in the first place. And it didn't work. Maybe it did for some people. I actually feel really, really bad now that I think about it. And also, games journalists need to feel bad. Shame on you guys. For the people that were out there that were defending this game, standing in front of it, shielding it from criticism, shielding it from all the people saying that it wasn't going to be worth their money, you likely led some people to go buy that game, and they hated it. And they wait.
The funny thing about it too as well, this is one of the reasons why I don't care about game journalists. Because, you know, I've been playing video games for such a long time. I can tell if a video game is going to be bad or good. I can just tell.
Because they went on your word, because they trusted you. Gross. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.
Shut up. Shut up, Dubstep. Shut up.
Subscribe to the channel, share it to your friends.
That's crazy, to be honest. That's actually crazy. So if they are downsizing, if they're like completely, if they're eviscerating it, right? Quote unquote eviscerated, right? Are they like downsizing? If they're downsizing BioWare, then Mass Effect is going to be their last game. But it's kind of looking a little bit rough at the moment, because there were some rumors spreading or so in January that the studio is going to shut down. They said they were going to shut down in like what, in the end of February or the end of March or something like that. I don't really remember. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Either BioWare gets shut down and no more Mass Effect, or BioWare has one final chance. To be honest, they've already used all three of their chances. So I think I would have just completely, you know, got rid of them. Or, you know, they can probably make Mass Effect and it'll be their last chance for them to earn revenue. But yeah, anyways, my guess is it's on the Skeleton Crew now, and if the sale number is not to EA's likely, goodbye to BioWaste. This year might be the closure for BioWare. It could be. BioWare could shut down. And even then, all of the old devs that used to work on the older games are not there anymore. So Dubstep's perfect world over there, you know, his BioWare is going to be shutting down, and no more Mass Effect. So he will not be getting a Mass Effect game if BioWare does shut down. Damn, that's crazy. That is very crazy to hear. But anyways, yeah, that's the end of the video. You guys can comment, like, subscribe, all that fancy jazzy stuff. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to see this because apparently EA is kind of like you know, biting the bullet basically with BioWare. And BioWare has been failing not once, but twice, 3 times in total. Because remember, they had Anthem, they had Mass Effect Andromeda, and then now they have what, this game? Did they work on anything else besides those 3? I don't even know. But yeah. What a time. The year 2025 sure is something, to be honest. It sure is something indeed.